Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. I'm actually not staying here today. I am going on a bit of a field trip. I promised myself this year that I was going to go visit more public gardens. There are so many beautiful public gardens with tons of gardening inspiration, and I never go. I never take the time to go visit these public gardens. And so I promised myself this year that I was going to make more of an effort to go see these gardens. And I am starting off with a bang. I'm going to go to a garden that was voted the most beautiful garden in the world. Yes, the most beautiful garden in the world. It's called the Ruth Bancroft Garden, located in Walnut Creek, California, which is only an hour drive away from me. Apparently, it's supposed to be an incredible over 3-acre garden designed by Ruth Bancroft in the 1950s, and it's filled with cactus and succulents and other plants that are supposed to be really good for California, Mexico, the whole kind of Southwest area. So I'm really excited to see it, and I got the opportunity to get a tour by the head curator, Brian Kemble. So I think this is going to be really great. So stay tuned. I'm going to hop in my car and drive to Walnut Creek. Everyone, I am here at the gorgeous Ruth Bancroft Garden in Walnut Creek, California, and I want to introduce you to someone very special. This is Brian Kemble, the curator at Ruth Bancroft Garden. Brian, you've been here for 45 years.
That's right.
And you knew Ruth, is that right?
I worked for many years with Ruth before it was a public garden.
Wow. And what was that like?
Well, she was actually a very exacting taskmaster. She knew precisely what she wanted done and how it should be done.
Oh my gosh.
And so you better pay attention when she said things. She was a great lover of plants, all sorts of plants, not just succulents.
Yeah.
She actually, from a young girl, was interested in irises and had a big iris collection. She grew roses. She grew herbs, all kinds of things. But succulents were her passion in her later years. And this garden is the result of her amazing efforts.
That is incredible. Well, we're just at the beginning and it just looks absolutely fantastic. And I want to thank you for taking the time to show us around today.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So Brian, tell me, where are we right now?
Well, we're right at the garden entrance, but it's important to note that when Ruth first started this garden, this was the back of the garden.
Oh.
And the entrance was on the other side.
Oh, interesting.
Now, because there was only a few parking places there, when we built a big parking lot and a visitor center, it was on the opposite side of the garden. That's where we had room to do that. And so our entrance changed to the other side.
Okay.
But right behind me is a big agave franciscini. And that was a favorite of Ruth's. She liked the big, bold form of agaves and the drama of them coming into flower. We'll look at one in a little bit to see what it looks like when it comes into flower. It's really quite something. But they are mostly native to Mexico, and so we have a lot of plants, agaves and others, that come from Mexico, a lot of cacti from Mexico. But another country that's prominently featured in the garden is South Africa. South Africa has the most succulents of any country in the world, and so we've got a lot of those in the garden too. The garden is not oriented towards one particular part of the world, but all the different places where succulents grow. Succulents, at least, that are tough enough to grow in our climate. There are tropical ones that we could not grow here, but those that we can, we like to grow as many as we can.
I love it. So how would you describe the plants here? Are they, it's a dry garden, right?
Oh yes, emphasis on things that don't need a lot of water.
Okay.
So a lot of those are succulents, but some are shrubs and herbs and other things too.
That's fantastic, especially for the climate in California, right? Where water is a hot commodity these days.
Oh yes, very much so.
Brian, before we get started, can you tell me about your background? You're a horticulturist, am I right?
Yes, I am. So when I went to college, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't really have a conception. I majored in philosophy because I had lots of interest in that area. And when I graduated with a degree in philosophy, well, what do you do with a degree in philosophy? You don't just hang out a shingle and become a philosopher. You have to go to graduate school and pursue something. And I really wasn't ready to do that. So I had friends in San Francisco. I came out here, and I wound up meeting a neighbor who was a landscaper and working with him, and one thing led to another, and here I am.
I love it. And you have quite you're quite well known for your hybrids, right? Your hybrid agaves.
Yes, well, I started out with aloe hybrids in the beginning in the 70s, and I later on did agave hybrids and gasteria hybrids and cactus hybrids and so on. It's very infectious. It's fun to do.
Are we going to see some of your hybrids in the store?
Yes, we can.
Very excited. So what are your pathways made out of?
Well, the pathways is a fine gravel. When Ruth laid out the garden, initially the paths were just dirt paths.
Okay.
And she wanted to have a rocky look of the beds and then have the same rock at a finer grade for the path. So the whole garden felt like it was of a piece, and so she went to a lot of trouble to get the gravel to do that.
She did such a good job, and I love how windy the paths are. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Yes, that's one of her design principles. She didn't want straight lines. She wanted curving paths and beds that didn't have hard edges, so that the flow of the plants is what you saw and not hardscape,
not the hardscape.
Straight lines.
This looks like it's just grew up here. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't look like it came out of someone's mind, but wow. Can you tell me about this specimen here? Wow, look at this.
Yes, well, most eucalyptus are trees, and this one is a bush. It sort of has an awkward growth habit with stems zinging out this way and that way, but these beautiful white leaves, and it has the largest flowers of any eucalyptus in the world.
Really?
Eucalyptus macrocarpa. We can see on the branches there the old seed pods.
Yeah.
So they persist for years, but that would have been where a bright red flower was when it was in bloom.
Wow. What time of year does it bloom?
In the summer.
Oh my gosh, this is stunning.
We are very, very happy to have this plant. Ruth planted one many years ago, and then we had a big freeze in 1990. It got actually down to about 20 degrees here at the garden.
No.
And it was killed in the freeze, and we had a very difficult time getting another one. So
wow.
We're very happy to have it back.
Oh, this thing's gorgeous.
We can see a lot of South African bulbs in bloom now. And here we have the patch of yellow-orange here.
Yeah.
It's Lachenalia aloides from South Africa.
Wow. I saw this for sale at your nursery.
Yes.
Your garden center.
The purple one here is Lachenalia pustulata, also from South Africa. So Lachenalia is a big group of bulbs, and there are so many of them in South Africa, but they aren't nearly as well known in the United States in garden circles. Everybody knows about a crocus and a hyacinth and a tulip and so on. But the ones from South Africa are so diverse and so wonderful, they really should be better known. And they're great for California because these go totally dormant in the summertime when we don't have any rain here in California, and they grow in the winter when we do have rain. So they're really, really well adapted to our climate.
Wow. And are they like the bulbs we know, like you just plant them like regular bulbs?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And they'll last for years and years. So this was a clump. 5 years ago, it was only half that big. So they spread and get more and more magnificent every year.
These are stunning. Can you repeat the name?
Lachenalia.
Lachenalia. Never heard of it.
So Lachenalia.
My goodness.
So it's a big genus and a wonderful genus and should be more planted in California.
And they'll naturalize here?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. You can see. I'm learning something already, Brian. Thanks.
So here we can see a century plant or agave that's starting to come into flower. So the plant grows for years and years without making any flowers. And then at the end, it puts all its energy into one big push and makes this giant asparagus-like stalk that comes out and then comes into flower and then dies.
So this guy's going to die.
It's going to die. But however, if you notice, there are little pups around at the base.
Oh, yeah.
So when the mother plant dies, then the pups will grow up, and so the clump keeps going.
Is this a pup back here?
That's an old pup, yeah.
Oh,
That'll be the next one to flower.
Wow. When do you think this guy will flower?
Oh, this is going to flower in about 2 months. So.
Okay, you locals, you got to come here to see this. Oh my gosh. Now, I should point out that you guys do have a YouTube channel.
We do a What's in Bloom video every month. So that is highlighting particular plants that are in flower in that month. And that's to go with a What's in Bloom sheet that we give to our visitors. So we have a selection of plants that are on that sheet that we go around and make a video of every month. So those are posted on our website.
Okay, so I'm sure you'll highlight this when it's in bloom, I'm assuming.
Yes, we will. But we also make other videos here and there of interesting things that happen in the garden.
Okay.
And so there's lots of videos to check out on our website.
I will link the Ruth Bancroft Garden YouTube channel in the description down below. And even if you guys aren't local, go ahead and sign up for it, because there is look at this. Look at this garden. It is absolutely stunning, Brian. And I hear hummingbirds everywhere. I can hear them.
The hummingbirds very much like our garden. We have lots of things like aloes and gasterias that have tubular flowers, and they are from Africa, and their natural pollinator is a sunbird. But a sunbird likes the same kinds of things that a hummingbird likes. They're nectar-feeding birds. We don't have them here in the United States, but all the same plants that are pollinated by sunbirds in Africa are visited by hummingbirds here in the garden.
Wow, I hear them all over. So tell me about this area right here. I can see it's got a little bit of a shade cover to it.
Yeah, so when Ruth first planted the garden, there were no trees here. A walnut orchard had been removed to make way for her garden. And so everything was full sun. And so until the trees grew up to make areas of shade, she made this structure here to provide a little bit of shade. And actually, the very first winter that the garden was put in, we had a really bad freeze. That was 1972. And so a lot of plants were killed. They were just getting going and then killed by a freeze. And so Ruth utilized this structure here to put plastic over it and make it into a walk-in greenhouse in the winter to protect plants from the cold. So
I love it.
It serves double duty for shade and for winter protection.
Do you guys ever use it for winter protection anymore?
Oh, every year we do.
You do? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. I would love to see that for sure.
So this aloe is one of my hybrids, and perhaps the one that's gotten into horticulture more than any other of my hybrids. So it's a cross between two South African aloe species. One is Aloe pearsoni and the other is Aloe distans. Aloe pearsoni is quite rare and comes from the arid northwest corner of South Africa, but it has wonderful purplish tinged leaves, and it's a little bit hard to grow. So I crossed that with Aloe distans, which is much easier to grow and has bigger leaves. And my aim was to get something that had the purple tinge to it and was not so difficult to grow. And it's really done very well for us. It's a summer bloomer, so you don't see any flowers on it now. Yeah. But it has wonderful round heads of flowers in the summertime.
I love it. Can you tell me a little bit about how you cross aloes?
Yes.
Is it the blooms?
So yeah, so let's go look at an aloe in flower. Okay, so this is Aloe Veombe, which is an aloe from Madagascar, and it's in flower now with these red-orange flowers. And if we look at one of the flowers a tubular flower, but there at the mouth of the flower, you can see a little yellow thing pointing out there, and that is the stigma.
Oh, okay.
And the stigma is the female part of the flower. So you would take pollen from another aloe and dab it right onto that stigma, and then that's how you make seeds.
So do you do it in like a greenhouse where it's sterile, or? You
don't need to do it in a greenhouse where it's sterile, but however, because hummingbirds and other pollinators might visit the flowers, having a plant that's protected from access by the birds and the bees is very helpful. So you're sure that you're getting what you aimed for and not what some bird
some random mix. Yeah. Oh man, that is cool. I find that very, very interesting.
So when I do that, I will mark with a little tie the exact flowers that I pollinated, and then watch to see if those develop seed pods. And if they do, then I'm off and running.
So then you take the seed and then you start growing that. And then does it take a couple of seeds to find a plant that will actually thrive, or is it pretty?
Well, you don't know. Sometimes they all come out really easy to grow, and sometimes only a few are tough enough. So it just takes experimentation to see what works.
Super cool, Brian. I love that.
This is an aleogeny, and you can see the flower looks very hibiscus-like. It's in the hibiscus family.
Yeah.
And they call it the blue hibiscus. It's really purple and not blue.
Right.
But just wonderful, showy flowers.
These are
And
gorgeous.
and it just blooms all summer long. So
it does.
It's just beginning now.
Wow. And then tell me about this blue one under here, because I see this planted a lot around. I really love the color.
They call it sometimes blue chalk.
Oh.
Because the leaves look like chalk sticks, blue chalk sticks. And that is actually in the daisy family. So the daisy family is a huge family, many plants in the family.
Yeah.
But not that many of them are succulent. And those that are a lot of them in this group Senecio.
Oh, okay.
And so what makes a daisy is a special kind of a flower. And that flower is a little cup. And then inside the cup are many tiny flowers. And in many of the plants in the daisy family, the outermost flowers in that group each have one petal that sticks out. So the whole cluster looks like one flower when it's really a bunch of flowers.
Interesting.
You know, a marguerite is an example, or an echinacea is an example, or even a sunflower is an example.
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of flowers masquerading as one flower. And that is what defines a daisy.
So a sunflower is in the daisy family?
What, pardon?
A sunflower is in the daisy?
Yeah, oh yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But in this case, it doesn't have those petals around the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a little cup of tiny flowers, and you wouldn't read daisy if you saw the flower.
Yeah.
But it's in the daisy family too.
It's really beautiful. It really is such a gorgeous, like almost ground cover style.
Yes, well that brings to mind something that was really important to Ruth, which is not just relying on flowers, but foliage color. She wanted to have things that had blues and pinks and purples and so on from the leaves, and so that there was color all year long, not just when they bloomed.
Yeah.
And you can sort of paint with plants by using all these plants that have amazing colors to them.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a very large century plant. This is Agave atravirens from southern Mexico. And this plant, Ruth planted back at the beginning of the garden in the 1970s, and it has yet to flower. So, you know, we call these century plants.
Yeah.
The idea there was that they'd take a century to mature and come into bloom.
Yeah.
But that's really because they're all from the New World and were unknown in Europe before Columbus. And when they started bringing them back to Europe, they caused a sensation. Look at these big dramatic plants. And people grew them in an urn in a conservatory or something.
Yeah.
And the roots being confined in the pot, they took forever to get big, and they thought it took a century. But really in the ground, it depends on the kind, but they could be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, but not really a century. But this one's gone now 50 years without flowering, so that's getting close to a real century plant.
Oh my, well, half a century plant,
Yeah.
I guess. Wow. I hope you guys can see the size of this plant. I mean, like next to Brian, you're probably like 6 feet, right, Brian?
Yeah.
And so that plant has got to be like 9 feet, 10 feet, right? Like it's huge if you took that leaf and put it up. That's amazing.
And here we see how the light plays with plants in the garden, which is one of the wonderful features of the garden. So we see over here Leucadendron little bit. And the leaves are green, but at the tips of the branches, it makes these pale yellow bracts around the little flower cone in the middle. And those yellow bracts just catch the light amazingly, so the plant seems to shine and beckon you across the garden.
It's like it's glowing. Wow.
So as we look closer, we can see the yellow bracts, which are modified leaves, around the little cone of flowers. So those are the actual flowers there in the middle. And so the flower head has a red-orange to yellow fade to it, and then the pale yellow bracts around the outside, but altogether it just makes a spectacular display.
This is stunning. This is a beautiful, beautiful plant.
Contrast in textures between different plants is a source of great visual interest in the garden. So you're always looking for things that have different textures and different colors and different forms that will contrast with each other.
Yeah, and this is quite an example of that. That looks like your guy. Is that your guy?
That is.
Ah!
Yep, and here it is again.
Wow! Oh,
So
Brian.
here you can see, this is a sunnier spot, and you can see how much purple there is in the leaf. That's really what I was aiming for in the cross, is to get that purple color to come out.
This is gorgeous. You did good. You did good.
And here we have a salvia called Emerald Cascade.
Ooh.
And a lot of the salvias have this flowering habit where the flowering stalk comes up, and then there's a burst of flowers, and then it comes up, and there's another burst of flowers, and then another burst of flowers. So they're sort of in tiers. Mm-hmm. And so this one's very popular with the bees.
It smells incredible.
It smells amazing. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
So we, of course, we plant it right by the path where people can brush against it and get that smell.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that. What a good idea. Oh, this is gorgeous.
And next to it here, we have a manzanita. Now, manzanitas are, a lot of them native to California. And the name manzanita in Spanish means little apple. And so here you can see why. There's the fruits.
Oh.
So the manzanitas are in the heath and heather family, the Ericaceae, and they have wonderful little urn-like flowers, and these are followed by these fruits. So the fruits are actually eaten by bears.
Oh.
So there's one of the species called Uva ursi, and that means literally bear grape, because the bears eat them like grapes.
Do humans ever eat them? Or are they not that?
I don't think they're that tasty to humans.
Okay.
I've never eaten one.
Can you tell me about this fuzzy looking, looks like it has 100 caterpillars on it?
That's true. That is Grevillea big bird.
That's a Grevillea?
That's a Grevillea.
What?
Yeah.
I gotta go take a closer look. That's a Grevillea? Oh my goodness. Look at this, you guys. Big bird. What a good name for it. Oh, look, there's a beam.
Yeah, so you can see the foliage is very fine and almost needle-like.
Yeah.
And then the flower clusters are this amazing pinks and purples, like you say, like a caterpillar.
Just beautiful, Brian.
Here
really
we have
gorgeous.
an aloe from Madagascar, aloe capitata. So capitata means that the flowers are in a round head rather than in a spire like many other aloes.
Oh,
it's not quite open yet, but you can see it's well on the way. And there aren't very many aloes from Madagascar we can grow here because Madagascar is a little bit tropical for us. But this one's from the highlands and a higher altitude, and it does grow well here. And it's a beautiful, beautiful plant with a beautiful flower.
It's stunning, and especially with this purple plant right behind it, it's just absolutely beautiful. Can you give me a little bit of care tips for these type of plants? Like how often should we water? How, like the type of, seems like a lot of these plants like a little bit of dappled shade sometimes.
Well, there are ones that want full sun, ones that want dappled shade. So we place them according to the light level at that spot.
Okay.
But the most important rule is drainage, drainage, drainage. They need good drainage. So if they're sitting there in wet soil, their roots would rot if they don't have that good drainage. So that's a really, really important principle.
Okay.
And then knowing where they come from. So some of them come from places where the rainfall is mostly in the winter, some mostly in the summer, some at all seasons. And knowing that helps you know how to take care of the plant.
Oh.
So we do have both winter rainfall and summer rainfall plants here in the garden. And if it's a winter rainfall plant, it has to be able to take irrigation in the summertime, because when we water the other things, then you're going to get some water on it. And so it can't be bothered by that. And if it's a summer rainfall plant, it can't be bothered by rain in the winter months because we're going to get it out of the sky.
Yeah.
So we do have either irrigation in the summer or rainfall in the winter. So there's moisture applied all year long. And so the plants that are from either the summer rainfall or winter rainfall climates have to be able to tolerate rain at the other season too.
So what do you do if a plant can't tolerate it? Does it just not be able to work in here?
Well, that's tricky. If it's a plant that cannot tolerate winter rainfall, then we have to grow it under glass because there's no way to keep it from raining.
Yeah.
If it's a plant that can't tolerate summer moisture, we put it in a place where there's a rain shadow. So let's say the sprinkler is blocked by an agave and there's a dry spot behind it. We can plant the plant there where it won't get watered by the sprinkler.
Oh, interesting. And do you have any tips for people to improve drainage in their garden?
Yes, if you're here at the Bancroft Garden, our natural soil is a heavy clay, so it's not good drainage.
You're
and
kidding.
So we dig in lots and lots and lots of rock to make the drainage better. So pumice is what we use.
Okay.
It's a really good, not only good for drainage, but it has aeration too, because there's little air pockets in the pumice.
Yeah.
So that's a really good material. You can't get that everywhere, but there's always some material you can use to mix in to make your drainage better.
Now, what about this guy, this spiky guy? Is that a yucca?
That's a yucca. That's a cutting we got, and we stuck it in here. We're trying to root it. It has not rooted yet.
Oh, okay.
You can see that the leaves are yellowing a bit at the tip.
Mm-hmm.
It's making up its mind whether it's going to put out roots or not.
It's making you work hard.
Yes,
It's making you work for it.
But we hope it will. So that's the same kind of yucca as we have behind over here, which is Yucca rigida.
Oh, wow.
So that's how big it would get eventually.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
So that's a spring blooming yucca. Well, you can see the blackened stalk from last year's flower. So that's the scale of it. But that's a really exceptional plant because it's gotten so big and so old.
Oh, it's so
And it
pretty.
shows you something that Ruth liked. She liked the way that the old leaves would come down and hug the stem and give it a sort of grass skirt kind of look.
Yeah.
And so some people will cut all the leaves off. And Ruth said, why would you cut it off? It looks so wonderful like that.
I love that she loved that. That's going to make me look at it differently from now on. Tell me about this under here. What is this grassy type stuff?
This is a puya. So puyas are in the bromeliad family.
Oh.
And they have spectacular flowers. This one has red stalks and dark purple tubular flowers when it's in bloom, which is not now. But you're right, it looks very grassy.
The texture of it is stunning. Absolutely beautiful.
And it's grown and grown and grown. See, this is the same clump all the way around to here.
Wow.
And when it's in bloom, all the red stalks and the purple flowers, it's just stunning.
I bet it's beautiful. I love this plant. This is a gorgeous plant.
And then this palm here is also a palm of note. This is the Chilean wine palm, Jubea chilensis, and it comes from central Chile, which has a Mediterranean climate just like ours. So it's a palm that's really well adapted climatically to California. Wow. And it's a slow plant, though. I mean, it's taken many years to get this size.
Go stand by it just so people can see exactly.
But one of the stoutest trunks of any palm.
Look at that.
And just a wonderful architectural statement in a garden.
It's crazy.
It's slow, but it's worth the wait.
Were you here when she planted this?
I was not, but when I came 45 years ago, was just after it was planted.
Oh, yeah?
And at that time, the leaves were all down here, and there was no trunk at all. And it took a long time for that trunk to develop. But
you got to have some sense of pride to being able to watch these plants grow up like this.
Yeah,
right?
I know. It is wonderful. The whole process of the thing, especially if you grow up from a seed and you watch the seed sprout and then the whole plant's development take place. It's wonderful.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, this is an agave hybrid I made. It's agave colorata from Sonora crossed with agave ismensis from Oaxaca. And so these are 3 different individuals from the same seed batch. And you can see they vary. This one here has more crenellated margins on it, you know, and lots of teeth.
Yeah.
This one, not as many, but this one has more bud printing, which is the impression of one leaf against another that leaves an embossed pattern on the leaf.
I love that.
And so they're wonderful in different ways, but I like this hybrid because it came out as a nice tight ball of leaves with a really blue color and compact, and I think it's going to be a great garden-worthy plant.
I just want to say a huge, huge thank you for taking the time to show off the Ruth Bancroft Garden to all of my viewers. I know they appreciate it just as much as I do.
Well, you're so welcome, and any of your viewers who are near enough by to come visit the garden, we'd love to have you come and visit us. And remember, there's different things at all times of the year, so there's no month that isn't a good month to visit.
And remember to watch the YouTube channel so that Brian can tell you what's blooming.
There you go.
Again, a huge thank you. I hope you all enjoyed this. Make sure you come visit the Ruth Bancroft Garden, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.